What is up, everybody? I was a little long. What is up, everybody? J Nell here with my UFC from China recap that happened this weekend and my Tito Ortiz versus Chuck Liddell 3 recap. It took me a minute to watch everything, so let's get into it real quick. You normally have been doing my 15-second predictions basically the day of the fight. Well, this fight happened at 3 o'clock in the morning, y'all. I spaced on the time. I should have known China. Hello, obviously. Duh. It happened at 3 o'clock in the morning. The predictions did not get out. So, I have no record there on this one. But let's go ahead and talk about it because there were some important fights here and they were exciting. So let's go ahead and talk about it. Hope you saw it now. First up, in China in the co-main event, very important fight because all heavyweight fights are important because you only got to win like 2 or 3 to get a title shot. And we saw Alistair Overeem, the Reem, get back into the win column against Sergey Pavlovich, and boy did he. First off, he's no longer at Jackson Winklejohn. He is now at Team Elevation, where he said he believes the coaches have more chemistry. He says he likes how they're always improving, not just drilling and perfecting certain things that they already know, but always improving and looking for new age, new wave techniques to improve. So that's what some of the things he said he likes about them. And you know what? It showed. He looked good physically. He looked trim, nice and sharp, not overly huge. He looked quick on his feet. He's got quick hands. He had a pep in his step. He was first. He initiated contact. He controlled the center of the octagon. He pushed the pace. Physically, he just looked good. Looked sharp. He looked good. He had some sharp kicks. He looked good. Eventually, and Sergey was pretty much on the defense. He had little moments there where he had to try to get off some offense, but really, again, Alistair really took control of this fight and never let go. Eventually, he kind of pushed Sergey while tripping him with the feet. He pushed him down on the ground. He was able to move the legs out of the way and get down to, I believe it was side control or half guard. Please correct me if I'm wrong on that one. Let me know exactly which one it was. He started to rain down bombs, and we know his ground and pound is scary. There was some hammer fists that got through the guard first and kind of stunned Sergey a little bit, and then there was a right that came to the side of the face that really stunned Sergey. Then it was only like a couple of shots later. There was a shot that like totally turned his head. And I was like, it's over, it's over, it's over. Like 2-3 shots later, and the ref stopped the fight. I think that was the time it took him to just get there out of the way of them long arms of Alistair. But because I was a tad, maybe a tad late. You know what I mean? When you got these heavyweights, Alistair, I was like, he gonna kill him. Like, you know what I mean? So maybe a little tad late. Anyway, so, but great win for Alistair Overeem. And like I said, the heavyweight division where you only need to win like 2-3 fights to get a title shot. Who do you think should be next for Alistair Overeem? We'll see what happens with this JDS Tuivasa fight. I think that might, you know what I'm saying? Anyway. Main event, also a heavyweight fight, very important fight, and we saw Francis Ngannou get back into the win column as well against Curtis Blaydes. And I was, you know what, if I would have done my pick, I would have picked Curtis Blaydes. I had lost confidence in Francis Ngannou. The loss to Stipe, where even his coaches said that his head got so huge that he just refused to wrestle. Like, he just know what he doing. Even his coach from Paris said that they just basically couldn't control him. He loses that fight. Then the next fight where he himself admits that his confidence was so low from the Stipe fight that he just couldn't perform. And then against Derek Lewis, and we saw one of the most low performance, low output fights ever in the heavyweight division. It was a horrible fight on both accounts. We found out that Derek Lewis had an injured back. Now, so I had lost confidence in Francis. I was like, you got to show me something, man, because if your head is messed up, it doesn't matter how physically confident you are, how physically talented you are. If 90% mental, 10% physical, right? Right. So we get into this fight. Francis looked good. His body looked good. He looked sharp. He looked quick on his feet. And I forgot how fast his hands are for such a big man. He's so fast. Sharp jabs. Had some kicks going there. He's mounting a little offense. Curtis is trying to get a hold of him, trying to find a way to get to a takedown, changing levels, trying to throw some out there. They're feeling each other out. It's going back and forth a little bit, momentum. You know what I'm saying? There's covering space here. Who knows what's going to happen until Francis lands. All right, it kind of off the top of his head, backside of his head, that quite frankly, fight probably could have been stopped there. This shot hits him. Curtis goes down to, first his legs give out. He goes down to the ground, and then an extra level head smush. type shoulder smush against the ground. And at that point, the ref charges in, and he actually touches Francis. I think it probably was an accident because he doesn't stop the fight there. So he doesn't stop the fight there. Curtis probably was. It was probably a flash knockout and was woken up by the initial hit, the second hit on the ground with his head. And so he kind of wakes back up a little bit, and now he's scrambling while getting knocked. And every time Francis hits him, his body is literally spinning around. He's trying to get up. He's trying to scramble, and he's up against the cage. He's actually trying to stand up when the ref stopped this fight, and then he stands all the way up. He immediately protests, and that initially I was like, "Oh, it's an early stoppage." But honestly, when I looked at the fight a couple more times, the ref could have stopped it on that initial knockdown. He could have stopped it then. So it's like a late early stoppage, because then you didn't stop it. You allowed him to get a little bit of his wits back, and now he's scrambling. And you can't, he wasn't defending himself. Well, scrambling is defending yourself, because scrambling is trying to put yourself in a better position. So that is defense. So it seemed like an early stoppage, but he could have stopped it at the initial knockdown. Curtis Blaydes is someone, as someone pointed out, I think it was Brendan Schaub, he's like, he's 26 years old. This kid has a lot of growth and a lot of career ahead of him in this heavyweight division where he's probably going to take more bombs. Let's preserve this fighter. And I agree. I'm okay with the stoppage. I'm okay with the stoppage. But let me know what you think about that stoppage. Should have been stopped on the initial knockdown. And since he didn't stop it there, and Curtis seemed to get some of his wits back, was an early stoppage then. And let me know what you thought about the Al-Star stoppage as well, if it was a tad bit late. Okay, let's talk about stoppages here. Remember, you have to, as I always say, better early than late. Now, Tito Ortiz, the Huntington Beach bad boy, finally got his victory in the third fight against the Iceman, Chuck Liddell. This actually happened here in Cali at the Forum. I wish I would have known earlier. I would have went. But yeah. So this was put on by Golden Boy Productions, and the lackluster press conferences from Oscar De La Hoya. Like, do you want to get into this industry or not? Like, I think he has such disdain for MMA, even though he was making money off of this fight. It was just like, no. So anyway, so they put this fight on at the Forum. It's the main event. And this ended in the first round. And so they're filling each other out. And immediately, you know what? I had thought, Chuck Liddell won the first two fights, and you're thinking he's probably in better shape because Tito Ortiz had so many back and neck surgeries. But you know what? Tito is the fresher fighter. He has fought more often and more frequently in these last few years. Someone let me know how many years it's been since Chuck Liddell has actually fought, and it looked like it. It looked like it. He pretty much had the same physical shape because, as if you know, Chuck Liddell never really he had this awkward dad bod with a weird six-pack that stuck out and skinny legs. He always had this weird, awkward body, but it was in shape, and he was bigger than he is now, too. He was more muscular. His shoulders were bigger, arms were bigger. So he kind of had the same still awkward body type, but he just was so flat-footed. It looked like he was carrying around a 300-pound body. The way he was moving, just flat-footed and slow. And the reaction was slow and heavy. Slow and heavy. That's what I noticed immediately. I was like, he's moving like an old man. You know what I mean? Whereas Tito, an older fighter, but still was fresher, had more pep in his step. His body looked fresh too. And again, I think he fought last year. I saw his retirement fight against Chael Sonnen. I was there at the point. So he's fought more frequently, and he looked like it. He looked quicker. He was quicker. He was pressing the pace. He was moving forward. There was a moment where Chuck Liddell did land some shots, but he pretty much he just brushed it off, right back to it. And so pressing the pace, pushing Chuck Liddell up against the cage, he threw out a flurry of shots, and gosh darn it, one of them landed. It was a right hand that I think knocked Chuck Liddell all the way out. He was like, poosh, and then this is how slow he was moving. He even slowly fell to the ground. He was like, he like slid down the cage. I'm sorry. That's wrong. I'm sorry. But he even fell slow. He even got knocked out like an old man knockout. So all the way out, Tito landed a couple more shots and then celebrated. I mean, you could tell he had been holding in this feud with Chuck for years, and all of it just came out. He was like, did his patented grave digger and covered up the grave. It was like, and it was actually pretty entertaining. I'm not gonna lie. The whole thing was entertaining. And for those of you who are like, they shouldn't be fighting, they're both old. Look, if they can legitimately pass the doctors, I hope doctors aren't being paid off. I really hope, because I even questioned that in the whole Ken Shamrock Hoist Gracie fight. I was like, just as long as a legitimate doctor is really passing these guys and they are cleared for real, they're passing all drug tests, and legitimately, this is California where we have some of the more stricter rules with drug testing and all of that, no IVs and all of that. So if they've gotten past all of that here and they're fighting an opponent who's equivalent to them, not some young up and comer who's gonna freaking put them in the hospital, but someone who's equal to them, then and they still got a name and they can still make money and still sell tickets. Who are we to tell them not to do what they love to do? That's how I feel. And this was equal competition. I have no problem with it. And it was entertaining. That's why I watched it. So congratulations to Tito Ortiz. Is he done? Is he retired? I don't know. If not, who would you like to see him fight next? Anyway, let me know what you thought of all of these fights that happened this past weekend. We'll talk about, there's a lot of fights that I didn't even talk about. So please let me know. Give me any commentary you'd like. Let me know how you feel on early stoppage, late stoppage as far as that China event. And let me know how you felt about this Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz, too old, shouldn't have happened. Let me know what you think. The actions and responses from Oscar De La Hoya should even be in this industry. Just let me know how you feel about everything that happened this weekend. Follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, where I, of course, have 15-second predictions, and I should say 30 seconds, they've been longer, predictions and recaps and all of that. And I'm on Snapchat. Subscribe, like, talk to me, take care, and goodbye.